Good afternoon to all who are watching, and thank you, Mr. Williams, for your introduction. Today, I just want to bring to the attention of the general public some of the containment measures to which we continue to support the Ministry of Health in containing this outbreak. I just want to read this excerpt, or let's say this presentation that was prepared by a committee and that we have put in place on the advice of both mitigation council chairs. This committee is a committee to support to support persons socially, meaning provide social support to persons who have been placed in quarantine. And this was drafted by the person who we have placed in charge of this committee, which is Permanent Secretary, Ms. Janelle Lewis, from the Ministry of Social and Community Development. Recognizing that persons and households would have been placed in quarantine without an opportunity to purchase or prepare sufficient food or other basic supplies, a decision has therefore been taken by the government to provide care packages for such families who are in need. These small but meaningful packages are geared towards ensuring that basic nutritional and health needs are met while remaining at their homes or hotel rooms during their quarantine period. A special committee chaired by the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs has been established to primarily address needs assessment and distribution of care packages. Other members of this committee include representatives of the Ministry of Education, Transportation Subcommittee of the NEOC, and the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. A system has since been put in place to contact all households in quarantine to conduct a brief assessment of their medical need, psychosocial support needs, and required basic food supplies. This hard-working committee has also commenced outreach to various social and business partners to solicit support with hot meals for persons who are in quarantine at hotels and may not have access to kitchen facilities. We were undoubtedly encouraged with the overwhelming support received during the last year's lockdown periods. We take this golden opportunity to encourage all businesses, community-based organizations, churches, and individuals who are willing to donate towards this meaningful cause. If you are willing to do so, please do not hesitate to quickly contact the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Community Development and Gender Affairs, Janelle Lewis, at 662-5993. Allow me to repeat this number for you again, 662-5993, or the Ministry's Administrative Office number at 467-1020. Let me just further inform you that out of a list of 109 persons in quarantine, the list is bigger, 30 persons were contacted by social services today. So these persons were called via cell phones or whatever contact they would have had, and they were engaged. I must say to you that the persons who were contacted were welcome this initiative, and we already began to put the procurement list in place so that we can get these care packages to these individuals as soon as possible. I want to just reinforce what the previous presenters would have spoken about, but in particular, I want to address the issue of the compliance officers who are deployed to enforce the the protocols. I'm appealing to the general public, in particular those in public transport services, to comply with these officers. They are doing their best. You would have seen some of them at the ferry terminal or at the bus terminals. And my understanding from their reports is that there has been a favorable level of compliance and support and cooperation by these service providers. Let's continue to do so in the interest of curbing this particular outbreak. Persons in home quarantine, compliance officers have already begun to visit some of these individuals. When I say visit, let me make it abundantly clear that a roll call is being done from a safe distance. So it's not that they go into their houses and pull them out. These individuals are contacted via telephone or whatever means necessary, and then basically a roll call is done to ensure that individuals are at home. I must also report to you that we are satisfied, and actually we are delighted to see the level of support we are receiving from the communities. The communities are doing their own policing. Once they recognize that individuals should be in quarantine, or they know, in particular family members, individuals are in quarantine, we are receiving the calls and we are responding immediately to these calls. So we want to continue to encourage the public support that we are getting from the general public in providing information to the task force, the Ministry of Health, and the police, and everyone else involved to ensure that we have full compliance with the regulations. However, as the chair of the National COVID-19 Task Force, I have been receiving a lot of complaint about children being on the road. We have had this discussion yesterday in the task force meeting with the Commissioner of Police, who has indicated graciously that he would engage the community policing team to ensure that they speak with the parents of these children and ensure that these children are monitored and are asked to stay at home. Dear parents, please encourage your children to stay at home during this critical time. I also want to use this opportunity to inform the general public that we are fast approaching the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, and I am making an appeal for persons to begin to prepare. However, what is critical, you have to begin to prepare with this current outbreak in mind, that we might enter into a hurricane season whereby we may be dually impacted by two hazards, that being a cyclonic hazard and that being this particular pandemic. So make sure that when you are planning, you plan with that in mind, in particular when you're looking at sheltering. I want to commend, I had an opportunity today to visit some of the health centers and look at the vaccination program that is ongoing, and to see the numbers. Let us keep this momentum. I just want to encourage the persons who have voluntarily come out to vaccinate, continue. Let's sustain the momentum. Each one, encourage one. That's my best suggestion. That's my best encouragement to you. I am also appealing for patients with the 311 operators. Ladies and gentlemen, if you call once and you don't get through, please call again and again until you get the operators, and please have patience with the operators, as a lot of information is coming in and everybody is doing their best to facilitate as much as they can. I want to reassure the general public that we are doing everything in our powers to ensure that we do our best to suppress this particular outbreak as soon as possible. We want you to support our strategy, containment strategy that we told you that we want to implement. I want to commend today a meeting that we just came from with the High Command of the Police Force, which was chaired by the Commissioner of Police and attended by the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force and also by the Customs and Excise Department. It was a very fruitful meeting where the strategies were outlined in terms of what we need to do to ensure maximum safety and security of you, the general public, and also for all essential workers who will be working at this time. So with that said, I want to reassure you again that we are doing our best, but we need to have all hands on deck. We need the all of society approach. This is not time for us to work in silos. This is not time for fake news. This is time for us to come together and support the mechanisms that are in place, and they are doing their work for your own best interest. So with that said, we will await your questions. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Before I go into the questions, I want to make an announcement